Hello, everybody. Welcome back. So glad that you could join me tonight. I'm just going to start off with a little disclaimer slash warning. I'm outside here in Western PA. We are in the middle of a big thunder and lightning storm. I do have battery backups here at the house, but sometimes the internet connection goes down. So if you lose me, that is why. I and if you hear weird sounds in the background, it's just the thunder and lightning. So yeah, just wanted to get that out of the way. We are talking, guys, about the Madeline Soto case again tonight. There's so much in this case, so many documents that have come out, so many audio recordings, so much badge cam. Like, I love the state of Florida for making it possible for us citizen detectives and web sleuths to be able to piece together some of these things, maybe speculate a little bit on some things, but I think it's all out of care for this young woman, this girl who lost her life violently on February 25th or 26th. I'm not quite sure if it was the nighttime or if it was the next morning. I think police are kind of calling it the 26th, the official day. But anyway, had just turned 13 years old, and her mother's boyfriend, a man named Stephan Sterns, has been charged in her murder, also with umpteen other counts of awful behavior, awful abusive behavior that he allegedly perpetrated against little Miss Maddie. We have talked at length here on this channel about Maddie's mom, and Maddie's mom, Jennifer Soto, and the weirdness that was the living situation in that house. Now, what we're going to do tonight is we're going to listen to a recording. It's been out there for a little while. I just have never talked about it here on the channel. But we are going to listen to an interview that police did with these two folks here. Now, this picture is old. I think this was taken in 2015. This is Chris Sterns and Deb Sterns. They are the parents of Stephan Sterns. And I have not listened to this whole thing, I will say. I find myself getting angry listening to it, but listen to it we shall tonight. But I do, before we go on, and you guys will notice I don't have my glasses on. I think I left my glasses and my phone in my wife's car, and she is gone. So we're going to limp along tonight, crying out loud. But if you go over to my website, which is gavinfish.com, you will find this case page. There's a link directly to it below. Let me fix my camera. That seems to be lagging a little bit. See if I can fix that a little bit. You'll see me jump here in a second. There we go. All right. On the case page, you will find all of the videos that I've done except tonight's. I haven't put that up there yet. Some audio recordings, including the one that we're going to listen to tonight, and all the case files that I have gathered from multiple sources that all of my patrons have unrestricted access to. Man, there are just so many. And then photos, everybody has access to. You don't have to be a patron. You can go to the website and you can see kind of the way that they lived. And maybe as we're listening to Deb and Chris tonight, we might go through some of these photos a little bit so we can look through those. But anyway, you can see, guys, I know I'm scrolling super fast, but there is so much on the case page. So please go over there to gavinfish.com. You click on cases and you'll find Maddie up in the upper corner there. It's all arranged chronologically. Also, I wanted to, first off, before we really dive in, this little fish right here, this little icon, that will take you to the fish tank over on Facebook. We're about 2,100 members strong now. So if you like hanging out on Facebook and talking true crime, that is a great place to do it. Okay, with that, let's get back over to Maddie's case page. Let's bring up, I'm just going to bring up their photo for now. While we're listening to this together, I will be taking a look for comments that you guys are making. Always, if you want to get my attention in the live chat, just put GF in the live chat, and that will help me find the comments that you want me to read. Okay. With that, we're about a minute into this recording because they're just talking about like the drugs they're taking, which is like Ozempic and stuff like that. And then they get into the meat of it. Here we go.
The reason we made the trip down here today is I know you spoke to Alex, I think.
Yeah, Alex, yeah.
Yeah, with Orange County, and may have spoke to Corporal Ilgen that works with us.
Is he this tall, slim guy?
No,
Was
he's
he at Orange County
bald.
also?
He was. I think you may have talked to him out in the parking lot in Orange County.
Yeah.
Bald guy, probably wearing a SWAT shirt.
No, that didn't work. That didn't. There was somebody else I thought was from Kissimmee PD, but and I thought actually you were him, but obviously not.
So
You're better looking he is.
appreciate it. But since I'm the lead detective and he's my partner in the case, we kind of want to get eyes and talk to everybody that's involved. That's the only
Let's
reason.
get on some headphones here so it doesn't
So
echo.
the reason we're here is basically try to get a background of what you know about Stephan and Jennifer's relationship and that sort of thing and stuff like that. So we can do it one of two ways. I can just give you guys the floor and you can let us know what their dynamic was, or I could do it question and answer wise, whatever's more comfortable for you.
Well, if you do it question and answer wise, you'll get the answers that you wanted. If you let us sit here and ramble on for half an hour, you may not get what you want. You still have to ask the question.
Fair enough for me.
We can fill in the gaps.
Yes.
All right. So, any idea how long Stephan and Jen have been in a relationship?
7 years.
7 years.
7 to 8 years, somewhere there.
Okay. And was it constant throughout those 7 and 8 years, or on and off, or?
They were friends first, close friends first, and then it evolved into a romantic relationship.
By the way, guys, I should have bumped up the audio, so I'm sorry if you have to kind of crank the audio. I'm actually going to turn my microphone down a little bit so it'll match, so I don't like freak you out when I come up to talk. All right, sorry about that. This is as loud as it gets.
I think probably the first 18 months was just friendship, and then it changed from there. And no, we did not like the relationship.
Why not?
Didn't approve of her.
No.
Why
She was
is
a
that?
bad influence on it because of her
Drugs.
drugs plus I think she was taking medications for depression, anxiety, what have you, and I just didn't feel that she was going to be a good influence for him.
She's bipolar. She's bisexual. She's a drug addict. She had a young child. The family was disapproving, and she was sharing those drugs with Stephan. And I don't approve of vaping. We don't do any drugs. We don't even drink. I can't even take specified medication for pain because my body rejects them, and I get really, really sick from them. So, I mean, went through open heart surgery on Tylenol.
Wow.
So it's
And they were
She's
both
nice. She's nice.
they slept all the time.
Yeah.
And you know, we had a hard enough time dealing with Stephan sleeping all the time, and now he's got a relationship with somebody else that does it as well. It's just like they were feeding off of each other, and none of it in a positive way. And that's why I disapprove. I disapproved of a lot of Stephan's
Well, that's the only
people.
thing. Yeah, only thing her mother and I approved of together was the fact that we didn't approve of the relationship, because if Jen started spiraling down one of her holes of depression, she took Stephan with him. If he was depressed, he brought her in, and it was just always like a balancing act with those two. This is not good. It's not a good dynamic.
You know, when you said they were always sleeping, like constantly,
Yeah.
were they taking medicine to go sleeping, or
No.
they were just?
They were just
Well-
they were faked out.
Yeah. Well, Stephan has a sleeping disorder, sleep apnea, so he's been tested for it, and his he would be up all night and sleep all day.
Okay.
Type of deal. And we really didn't have that much physical interaction with them. These are things that we just observed from
visits.
from a distance and, trying to talk to Stephan at times but we just really didn't have any social activity with him to speak of.
When Stephan would be here in town, like what would his routine be? Would he just, is he a homebody or?
He locked himself in his room, and we would see him maybe, once in a while.
Guys, I have to interrupt. You know how every once in a while Uncle Gavin comes out? Check this out. That is my actual nephew, Danny. Hey, Dan. Handsomest kid you guys have ever seen. Handsome Dan. Welcome to the live stream, buddy. All right, let's continue.
Tell him dinner's ready, but he was constantly in his room all the time.
He was painting his little minis for Warhammer.
Yeah, he's
He
obsessed
spent a
with
lot
all
of
that
time
stuff.
doing that. A lot of time learning the new books as they came out. A lot of time online. He did go play Warhammer with the guys once a week. Tried to get him to go to the beach. Tried to get him to go to church. Tried to get him to go shooting with us. No.
Did he give an excuse why?
Okay, so that comment I have heard before. I've listened to part of this before. We tried to get him to go to church, tried to get him to go shooting with us. I find that just a little weird, right? It's just a little weird that I don't know. And I'm a gun owner, and I don't have anything against gun ownership, gun use. But when you've got somebody who has obviously got mental health issues and has his entire life, he's a drug addict, things like that. I don't know that I would take him shooting. I don't know that I would introduce him to that part of the world.
He wouldn't
He
want
just
to
didn't
go.
feel like it.
Just no motivation.
And he walked around with Jen on the phone on FaceTime all the time. I would be in the kitchen, I would look up and I would see Jen, and she's like, I'm like, and I look at her and her eyes are open. I said, Jen, are you baked? And she says, oh yeah. I'm like,
And this is recently or
I mean,
throughout
that
the
was
years?
in the last few weeks, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
He wasn't. I brought him back in December because I was supporting him living there, and I didn't know that I was supporting the whole family.
Mm-hmm.
Again, Stephan's great at omitting information and not being transparent with me. And I just reached a point. I said, I can't afford to have you working for Disney.
Mm-hmm.
And there's always a deficit in his budget for one reason or another, but somehow he had expensive toys and what have you, and where the money came for that, he didn't even after he arrived here. Packages were arriving. I said, well, I'm not giving him any money. Where the hell is it? Stephan, it's money I saved. And I'm sitting here going, Bohica. You know what Bohica is? It's an acronym. Bend over, here it comes again. Mm-hmm. And, he called me up and said, well, I'm short of funds. Can you, Zelle me $150, send him that. But meanwhile, now he's telling me he's got money in savings, which I didn't believe. Mm-hmm. So where the money was coming from, I have no idea. But these packages just kept arriving.
When you would support him, how would you get him money?
I sell it.
Okay.
And I paid him, Juan charged Jen rent, and then in November of 2022, the reason why I know that because I looked it up the other day. I said, how far back have I been paying rent there? But he started charging Stephan rent, even though he was sharing a room with Jen. Mm-hmm. And then they decided that they weren't going to be in a relationship anymore, and he took over a full room, and now I had to pay $600. And so this just kept escalating. He wasn't taking care of his car. I was waiting for that shoe to drop. So finally, I said, I can't afford you to live there anymore, and I moved him back here. Mm-hmm. And
Okay, so that is the first time that I've heard that part of it, I guess, explained, right? Like this is, I'm trying to give Chris and Deb a little bit of the benefit of the doubt. Maybe I shouldn't, but I just can extend a little grace here. They've got a son who is a failure to launch, right? I think he might be the only child because I think we would know about siblings by now if he had them, but maybe he has other maybe they have other kids. Anyway, he's a failure to launch. He's doing drugs. He's living with a woman that they don't approve of for like 7 or 8 years. They sleep all the time. Neither side of the family has approved the relationship. He was obsessed with games. When he wasn't there at Jen's place, he was walking around with her on Facebook. Chris said he was paying rent. Well, first he said Juan, who is Jen's dad, was charging Jen rent. And so even though Stephan was living in Jen's bedroom, they were sharing a bed, right? Chris was still paying rent. And then when they decided not to be in a relationship anymore, he moved into room number 4 and the rent went up. And Chris goes, well, I can't afford you to be there anymore, so you need to come home. That is an interesting, I mean, I've never been in that situation, right? What do I know? If you've got, a dependent, grown, adult man child, this guy right here, who seems to have all the toys that he wants, but still relies on mommy and daddy to pay his bills. That's kind of interesting that you wouldn't just cut him off, right? Just cut him off. You don't have to sell him anything, but he kept doing it. So, but that's the first time I've heard it explained why he moved back. His dad was like, I'm not paying your rent anymore.
I thought, we had hoped that the year that he had spent at Disney, that he had matured and was now, accepting responsibility and had a disciplined routine, and that I could bring him back here and help him maybe develop into something with a better career path than working for Disney forever and not getting anywhere, because at $30,000 a year he couldn't support himself if he wanted to live on his own.
Right.
And that turned out to be a huge disappointment, because he fell right back into his same MO. Lock himself in his room, wouldn't help us around the house, and we were like on eggshells, because when he was here, it was always tension because of his sleep disorder, and the dogs obviously are not the quietest things in the world.
Right.
And they have their routine, we have our routine, so we let them out in the evening and it's chaos with them. We let them out in the morning, it's chaos, but for the most of the time, they're at feeding time, they're quiet, But again, that would disturb him, and didn't want to cause a flare up with him.
So when it would disturb
didn't
him,
want to cause a flare up with him. Let me just jot that down. Didn't want to cause a flare up with him. Yeah, I mean, again, trying to extend a little grace here. Like, it's really hard to know what people are dealing with. But, dude, this is a grown man, right? Are you afraid that he might be violent? Is that what you mean by you don't want to cause a flare up? And then, somebody said in the comments a little bit earlier, look at what mommy is doing with him in jail. And you're right. We've looked at all of the books that have been sent, all of the money that's been sent. She has been babying him. And that's why I titled this video, on the thumbnail, was this making a monster? Was this a monster of their creation? I don't know the answer to that. I'm just like, it just doesn't seem like this was a healthy family relationship from the get-go. This is they're treating a grown man like he's a young teenager, and complaining about it later that they didn't like all the stuff, but they didn't do anything about it. That's really that's disturbing.
with the dogs, was that during the daytime, or was him trying to sleep at night?
Oh, it could be any time.
Oh, okay.
If anybody comes to the door, get a package, a rat farts in the yard, doesn't matter, they hear it.
So if he's sleeping during the day and we're doing our daily routine, there's going to be distraction. If I come in the house, they're going to, hey, I'm home. They'd be a lot harder.
Right.
So, but I would just hope that he was soundly sleeping and that he would just sleep through it. But occasionally you would hear a bark out from him
or if he had his headphones on.
Yeah.
So when you said you brought him back in December, do you remember when first part of December, end of December?
Stephan Sterns is 37 years old, Ada.
To look up, it'd be early part of December because I was trying to get him out of there. I thought it was the end of November. It could have been at the very end of November or the very first part of December because I didn't want to owe Juan another month's rent. I wanted him out of there.
But did he mention if they were split up at that time or if they were still?
Well, they were supposed to be officially broken up.
Mm-hmm. Did he ever say why they broke up?
They just, well, I mean, yes and no. I mean, Jen told me as recently as last week she didn't want him as a partner. Mm-hmm. She realized that he was not going to be a good partner, but I assume that they both recognized that they wanted to go their separate ways. And I would say that occurred several months before, because there was one time he mentioned he was socializing with somebody at Disney, and that didn't go over well or something. She didn't like that. So
I told him, we both told him he would never get into a healthy relationship until he got away from her, because what are you going to do? You're renting a room, you're going to bring a new woman into your room with your ex in the next room? Mm-hmm. I mean, that's a bad recipe.
Did this ever happen within the last 7 years? Did they break up and get back together and that sort of thing? Or
I don't think so.
I seem to recollect that there was there might have been a pause in that relationship, maybe to the extent of how involved the relationship was, and maybe it became more social than more of a relationship type of thing. Mm-hmm. But again, clueless as to exactly the extent of how involved the relationship really was. I mean, I always thought it was just good friends and sex with benefit type of thing. Mm-hmm. But I don't know how committed they were to one another.
And that was going on all the way up until December.
Well, actually,
you think?
Before December, because like I said, when he went into the room on his own, that basically was probably the time that the relationship ended. So. Mm-hmm.
Do you remember when that was? You said November?
Yeah, I'm going to try it. Let's see. He left in December, maybe 3 or 4 months before he pulled out of there. I think only paid 3 or 4 months at 600, maybe 3 months. I'd have to look it up.
Do you know if when he came back here in December, was he ever making trips back to Kissimmee at all?
There was I think 3 occasions he went back. This last trip, mm-hmm. with when all this stuff happened, a trip before that, and then he went back for Thanksgiving, or he was there for Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving and Christmas.
Yeah, so he wasn't invited to the family events, and but he was there at that time.
Okay, I'm assuming just visiting Jen, or was he visiting other people?
He was visiting Jen.
Yeah, I wouldn't know who else he would be associated with at that time.
Okay.
I don't think he had any relationships outside of Jen. Mm-hmm. Maybe I think there was a time or two he mentioned that he was going to go out with some cast members after work.
Mm-hmm. Let me pause here for a second, because Sandcat has a good comment here, but I want to address it. Like, Gavin, these parents have probably been through a lot with Stephan. He's clearly not right in the head. I feel sorry for the parents because they have been used and abused by their son. Okay, so I feel that same sympathy toward his parents, except it's starting to feel like they are the creator of, like, they are the co-doctors Frankenstein, and they have created a monster, and now they have to deal with that monster. I was thinking about this just today. I don't know if you guys are the same way, but I do a lot of introspective thinking. What's good with me? What's bad with me? What can I fix? What can I make better? I even rah-rah myself sometimes, but how do I put this? I want to keep the person that I've been talking to anonymous, but so I'm going to be very vague here. But in my conversations with a friend, I've come to the conclusion, and I know this is cliche, but I've come to the conclusion that all of the problems that I have are mine, and I'm going to keep them. I don't want anybody else's problems. I will keep my own problems, thank you very much. But it's not because of the whole cliche idea that, everybody else's problems look fine until you experience them. No, it's that my problems are my own making. My life is a great life. I have a great family. I was born to parents who love me and cheer me on and take care of me. I love my brothers and sisters who all married terrific people. My nieces and nephews are terrific. Danny is here tonight, which is kind of fun, right? It's like the kids are great. Like the only problems I have are things that it's been through my own stupidity. So the reason I'm telling you that, or my own inexperience or foolishness, I mean, I don't want to be too hard on myself because sometimes it's just, I don't know, ignorance, right? That you make a problem for yourself. I feel like these parents have not come to the realization that they're like, you made Frankenstein's monster here, and he's off doing terrible things, and you are the creators of that monster. So yeah, I'm sure they've been through a lot with him, but I wonder if there were times where they were like, well, what do we do? And can we make a plan? And was there recognition that they've created this, or that they've played a part in its creation? Because I don't know if like a murderer is born or if a murderer is made or if it's somewhere in between. But I really do feel like these parents have some responsibility for what their son became. It's a great comment. Thank you very much.
But
Bear was one of them.
yeah, but that's the only time.
Has he ever lived in Kissimmee prior to meeting Jen?
No.
No. Okay, always here in Northport, or has he lived out elsewhere?
Well, we moved here.
Windermere.
We moved here in May of 2020, so he was always at our home there, or he lived here. And then
Okay.
we finally got him out of here, and there was an opportunity.
Finally got him
for
out of
to go
here.
live in Kissimmee.
Okay.
Finally
But
got
Jen
him out of here.
is when he went to
Yeah,
Kissimmee.
yeah, not on his own.
They were both supposed to be working at Disney together, but she can't keep a job
Do you know why?
because of the bipolar.
Well,
Now, again, wow. Somebody brought this up in the comments before that like Deb is just blaming Jen on everything. And she really is here. She's like, no, she couldn't keep a job. It's her fault. It's her fault. It's her fault. That's really interesting that we've got that. It's almost like a mama bear kind of instinct, but not recognizing the issues with your own son.
She doesn't want to lose her state benefits.
but depending on the type of work, she had back issues or something. So she couldn't do physical things. And now she did have a job as a concierge that didn't require any pressure or stress on her back or something. But there was always something that prevented her from working. Couldn't do dog sitting or whatever job it was, it would last no more than 2 weeks. And then she'd be back
And she was
crashing
going to
home
go
all
to
the
school
time.
for nursing. And I'm thinking, oh my God, save the world.
Well, then she was going to get into graphic design.
Oh yeah.
Dad bought her an Apple computer thinking she was going to take these classes or online, and that didn't last long either.
And you're hearing this from
From her.
Stephan? Oh, from both of them. Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. And everything that we're basically telling you is a lot of it's hearsay from what we were told. We didn't physically observe this, any of this stuff. Very, very little interaction with them. And when they were here, they were either in Stephan's room. Maddie always slept with Debbie, but and Maddie floated around here, played with the dogs, did things that little girls do, what have you.
We did some arts and crafts together.
You were teaching her knitting,
Crocheting.
crocheting. Yeah.
Maddie slept with Debbie when she was there. Again, is this a weird relation? I don't get relationships like this, guys. Like, no, nobody sleeps in my bed or my wife's bed because it's the same bed. No, I don't get it. Laura V, not that it matters, but was Jen Soto abused? I don't know. I have no idea. But I mean, they all act broken, right? They all act broken.
So that was going to be my next question. So Jen and Maddie and Stephan came here to visit
Yeah.
at some point, or a few times maybe.
Yeah. But if he was here, living here, she would actually come down.
Yeah.
Okay.
But again, very few trips. The last trip we saw them was we didn't see them, but I think we saw them early 2023 and then maybe for Thanksgiving 2022.
Okay. And then when they were here, you're saying Stephan and Jen would sleep in or would hang out in Stephan's room, and then Maddie would sleep with you, or be
Yeah.
with you. Okay. Why? Why is that? Do you know?
Number one, he's a slob. Number two, he only has a queen size bed.
Okay.
And number three, I didn't think it was a healthy environment. Like, they were going to have her sleeping on the floor, on the sleeping bag, and I said, I have a king size bed. I sleep on 36 inches of it. There's a whole side of a bed. Why can't she be comfortable?
So Chris and Deb don't sleep in the same bed together. Is that what I'm understanding here? That's what I'm understanding here, right? Like there's no healthy relationships within 10 miles of Maddie Soto. There isn't a healthy relationship anywhere here. It's so crazy.
I just insisted that she come in with me, and I had the dogs with me, so if she got up, what Jen used to tell me was, she would wake up in the middle of the night, and she'd come and climb in bed with them. And I said, well, you're gonna have the dogs here. If you get out of bed, you're gonna rouse the dogs up. So,
I got you. Did they ever talk about their sleeping arrangements at their house in Kissimmee?
just what I just told you, that if she had a bad dream or something, she would come in, and I told her, as Maddie got older, because we've known Maddie for 7 years, we've watched her grow up. I mean, this is very hard. But she, cute, sweet girl, she was. But then she started, in the last year, she started showing signs of bipolar as well. And Jen was horrified by that. They were butting heads like two rams. They were fighting all the time, and they're presenting a very different family dynamic than what they told us was going on.
And you witnessed them butting heads, or?
No, I would be on the phone with Steph, and I would hear them going at each other in the background. But that's, and I would say, what's going on? Well, Maddie and Jenny are at it again, and I gotta go break this up. So he would go be the peacekeeper. But I just put that down to puberty.
Now, again, okay, so I'll take her at the word that happened, that maybe Maddie was showing signs of bipolar disorder, Jen had bipolar disorder, and they were fighting. Now, not to belabor this here, but it's pretty common. It's not like in my family, man. If we yelled at one of our parents, there was no peacemaking. We were getting whooped for something like that. But I think it's kind of normal for daughters and mothers to not get along, especially when they are 13, 14 years old. I was always very grateful that I had a partner in my wife, and it always seemed to work out that in the moments that she just couldn't take any more of a teenage, daughter or son, I was in a position where I was a little more patient. And then when I had it up to here, she was in a position that was a little more patient. So, I mean, yay for nuclear families. But also that whole idea that, but my sweet little baby child, sweet little bunny boy Stephan was the peacemaker, and the real problem was Jen and Madeline. That's kind of, I don't know. That's just indicative to me that she's too much of a mama bear, and she has a broken boy. It's weird.
She went to puberty. She started puberty at 11.
Right.
It's hormones in me, but anyhow, she developed quickly, became pretty precocious, and other than that.
Yeah, I agree with you, Glinda. I think that Jen knew what was happening, and I got kind of, somebody didn't like me using the term pimping out her daughter, but I can't think of a better way of saying that. I think she knew, and I think that she was offering up her daughter to her sick boyfriend, maybe, I don't know, some kind of strange, like putting an offering on the altar of the man that you don't want to leave or something. It's I agree with you. It's weird.
I don't think she had a lot of friends at school. I don't think that she was a very social person. She had been, if you remember, Stephan and Jim both told us that after she began developing physically, that there were some boys at school last year that would push her up against the wall and grab a feel and bully her. And they were having a hard time with the school getting it stopped.
But anyway, when they visited here, she was either out here or they were watching movies together. But when it came to sleeping time, she was definitely in Deb's room.
Okay. Any time where either Jen and Maddie would be sleeping in that room without Stephan, or okay, so the only person that would separate from them would be Maddie when she was sleeping with you.
And like I say, she was always floating around because she was bored looking for something
And
to do.
before that, as you see the holes, we had a TV there, and we didn't have one in my room that was big, very big, but we moved that one, so.
Okay, I want to address this comment. I'm going to go back here real quick. Gavin, my sister and brother-in-law have separate bedrooms due to his extremely loud snoring. They have a very healthy, happy marriage of 27 years. Don't paint everyone with a wide brush. Okay, what I would say to that, respectfully, Pumpkin Patch Vintage, is that is the exception that proves the rule. Like, of course, my grandparents had been married, 68, 70 years, and they had separate bedrooms for the same kind of reason, right? Grandpa snored really loud, grandma had insomnia, that sort of thing. But those are the exceptions that prove the rule, man. When you're in a healthy relationship, the rule is that you spend your nights together. That is just kind of the rule. So while I respect your and welcome your comment, I don't think it's fair for you to say that I'm painting with an overly wide brush. I added the overly, I know, but I think that there are unhealthy relationships all around Maddie. I think she has no idea what a healthy relationship looks like, sounds like, smells like, and the rest of the likes, right? It's like she just has had no idea what it was like. She's got a single mom who can't keep a relationship. She's got this boyfriend father figure of a dad who plays with toys and abuses her like crazy. And then, her grandparent figures, these guys just don't seem all that healthy either, right? Like they have created this monster that ultimately became her abuser and murderer. So, yeah, I stick by my statement respectfully and graciously. Thank you for making that comment.
I would sit out here with Maddie when they were in there, and we'd watch TV together too. We even got the Disney Channel for her, so she'd have it. And
Do you know if Maddie or Jen, when they were sleeping here, did they take medicine at night or anything like that you know of?
no,
Or did Stephan take any? Has he been prescribed any medication?
he has been prescribed an anti-anxiety medication and a ADHD medication. He's got Adderall and something clomidine, for sleeping. I don't know what the first part of it is, but
Really didn't know his medical routines at all, hers or Jen's, other than the fact that
she was always changing medications.
she was, I think, taking medication for depressant and
Bipolar.
anxiety and bipolar, but I don't know anything beyond that.
She had a prescription for medical marijuana.
Medical marijuana.
And so she vaped all the time, and she shared it with Stephan. I wouldn't allow it in my house. I don't like the smell of it. I said, if you're going to do that, you have to be outside. You just can't bring it in here.
Now, after Stephan moved back here in December and he made the trips back to Kissimmee, would he drive the silver car? Your
No, that's
car?
the first time he ever drove that.
No. He drove the silver car
Oh, that's
because
right.
his car was in dire need of servicing. So I said, last thing I wanted to do is go 2 hours north and be stranded, and now I'm dealing with a disabled car. So I knew that car was up in maintenance, so I let him drive that car.
What's wrong with his car?
Again, 30, okay. my goodness, they're just red flags all over the place here. There was a great comment up here about, having to have responsibilities when you're young. Like, I personally believe, like Kimberly and I, we've done our best as far as parenting, especially in our generation. But our generation, Gen X, I have to say, in general, we're pretty lousy parents. I mean, we did our best, but and we were a lot less hard on our children than our parents were. Um, my mom used to say, if I wanted a ride, say I was like 13 years old, I wanted to go to the mall to hang out with my buddies, ask her for a ride. She had two things that she would say. The first one was, "Are your legs painted on? Why would I give you a ride? You've got two strong legs. Go go walk. Just hike up there. It's only a couple miles, right?" And then the other thing that she would say is, "Oh, yeah, you want to ride? Hop on Shank's pony. Go for it." That meant hop on your own 2 feet and go. So, yeah, I think that maybe there's some generational changes here, because I was a little more apt to give rides to my children, or to our children, I should say. But like you said, built to help, there were responsibilities that came with that. And it was, I feel like Stephan never had those responsibilities. At 30 something years old, "Oh, I don't want you to break down, little boy. Why don't you take my car? This car is a good car. Go ahead and take that car, because I don't want you to be stranded a couple hours north. I would have to come rescue you." When the reality is, no, you wouldn't. You wouldn't have to go rescue him. He's 37. He can handle it, right? Or he should be able to handle it. Yeah.
It's 1,000 miles over service. The brake jobs need to be done. He hasn't taken care of that car at all. It's probably going to need about two to $3,000 worth of repair on it. I'm sure if I take it in, I'm sure it's going to be $2,000 to $3,000. AC was been acting up on it, but I didn't trust it for long trips. If he was just if he was in Kissimmee commuting to Disney, that's one thing, but not long trips.
Right.
Matter of fact, I had him tow it down here, not drive it down.
Got it. So, is it safe to say this last time he came, and then maybe Thanksgiving or Christmas is when he took the silver car, or Thanksgiving?
So this last time, then he made it. When he came down here, he made a trip. When he first got down here, he made another trip back to get more stuff.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that was one trip, and then there was the trip in between. I guess he went up for Christmas, because I think he was here for Thanksgiving. And then there was this most recent trip. So as far as I know, I think it was just 3 trips.
Now, when he would come back from there, would he have like loads of stuff? Like, I don't want to say furniture, because there wasn't furniture.
It would just be leftover stuff that, for whatever reason, he had a 10-foot truck, and just the front end of it and all of it, the back was available.
So he rented a moving truck to grab.
I rented it.
Oh, okay.
He
There was
paid
more
for
truck
it.
than he needed, and why he didn't get everything he had was ridiculous, because it basically Dane came down to his typical modus operandi. He waited till the last minute, and then didn't have enough time to put stuff up there or whatever, but he didn't bring everything back with him.
Got it. Did he say why he didn't grab his stuff?
He didn't have to. Well, basically, if he did, it wasn't enough. He didn't have enough time. He's like, bullshit. He had weeks to plan for this. I kept on him about that.
Let me pause with this comment, or this question. Gavin, at the time of the interview, was Maddie already found, because she's using the past tense? Yeah, this interview was on March the 6th. So it was a day after, or 2 days after Maddie was born. You guys have to correct me on that date, but it's right around there.
Completely opposite me. I start to organize stuff and get stuff done, not wait till the last minute, but he waited until the last minute.
Oh, hang on. Another question like this. Yeah, Stephan was already arrested. He was already in jail. Let me read this. Tara says, was the interview after the arrest for the CSAM stuff? Yes. Or had he not been arrested yet? No, they don't seem too upset if he had been arrested at this point. Yeah, I honestly think this is one of those cases where there's probably great relief. They're probably sorry Maddie is dead. They probably emotionally had her checked out of their life anyway because Stephan and Jen were on again, off again. That like she wasn't like their grandchild or anything. I mean, it should have been that kind of relationship, I think, but it wasn't. And so they're not all that sad that Maddie is gone, and they're probably a little relieved that Stephan is in jail. That's what I think is probably happening here.
Very frustrating.
How long was he in Kissimmee when he made these trips?
Well, he stayed up there. If he went up there, he was up there for the day. Maybe he stayed up there a day or two.
Usually.
You know,
2 nights,
no
3
no
days.
rush to get back. No urgency to come back.
This last time he went up here, or to Kissimmee, did he say why he was going to Kissimmee?
Her birthday.
Her birthday. Okay. Did he say he was invited to a party or anything like that, or?
I think
Maddie
he was
called and
asked
him to please come.
And you heard
I-
Maddie call? Okay.
Yes.
Maddie wanted him
And
to
yeah,
come.
do you remember when that was? Because I know she had a party on Sunday. Do you know
Was
when?
it Saturday
I guess
or was it?
to make sure he was coming.
Something odd on Saturday,
What?
and I don't know if was the invite on Saturday, or did he just say Sunday I'm going to Kissimmee?
No, we knew. I knew the week before because I found
Okay.
The gifts for Maddie.
Okay. He seemed to be very upset. Matter of fact, he came to me and said, "Do you have any anxiety medication?" I go, "No, sorry, don't have anything like that. Everything I have is for diabetes or heart." And then he went to Debbie and said, "I don't have any." And then he came back and said, "Well, I found some 4-year-old stuff." I said, "Oh, okay." But he was suffering from high anxiety, man. I don't know what he was stressed out about.
When was this?
Sometime in the evening.
That
I
just
don't know.
seems so strange to be that loose about prescription drugs. I don't know, maybe I'm just uptight on this, but that it just seems really strange to be that loose about it.
Saturday or
Saturday.
days prior to that?
Saturday.
Okay.
Yeah, and then he's making, and then I guess the medication worked, and again he looked like he was like very stressed out.
Have you ever seen him like that before?
Yes, when he was very stressed out, and it was like better tiptoe. Not sure if he's going to blow up or not. You know, he seemed like he was calm enough, but I didn't know if anything could trigger him or not.
Did it seem like he was more in fear of something or scared of something or just...
It was a different, other than, being really upset about something, it looked like he was stressed out over something. Obviously, he never shared any of his feelings with us. And I had no idea it was stressing him out, but something really had him upset.
Angry upset? or
Joanna,
just
yes, they
not that
knew.
type of upset.
Not angry upset, but
Okay.
just something worrisome. Just seemed like there was something that was really preying on him, and it was not settling well with him.
And that's when he was...
Bill to help. There is a lot that has come out here. I love the state of Florida for this. In fact, Florida gets a lot of flack here in the United States, and we make fun of Florida a lot because there's so many stories that come out of Florida. Florida man did this, Florida man did that. But the reason those stories come out is because Florida is so open with their open records laws. There is so much that has come out in this case that would not come out in almost any other state, but maybe Idaho and Utah, right? It just does not come out. So I'm actually pretty impressed that this much official info has come out. Remember, like, look at all this. Just like it's 150 some odd 154, 156 individual reports that have come out, all these photos. I'm telling you, there is a lot, and I'm pretty impressed that it has been the case that way. Let's not forget who we're talking about here. I'm going to keep Maddie's picture up for a second.
Told you guys he was going to Kissimmee, or did he tell mom prior to that?
Well, he was making plans to go to Kissimmee, and I don't know exactly when this happened, whether he told me on Saturday, but I knew he was leaving Sunday because we talked about the expense of that trip, and he said, well, Jen's going to pay for the trip, because I was done paying for this stuff. Mm-hmm. And he said, well, Jen's going to pay for it. I said, well, go down and fill up the car, and I'll take care of that. That would be enough gas for him to get up and get back, because that's all he was going to do. Mm-hmm. And so I'm assuming that the plans were submitted on Saturday, but you're telling me that you knew about it a week in advance, and maybe he started planning that a week in advance, but I wasn't aware of it until the last minute.
Mm-hmm. But he didn't have this fearful reaction earlier that week. It was just that Saturday.
Yeah.
Did he say how long he planned on staying in Kissimmee?
A week.
A week.
Yeah. We were planning on him to be gone for a week because we were welcoming the break.
Mm-hmm.
We were welcoming the break.
What did you buy her as a gift? You said you got her a gift?
I had ordered something, and they looked marvelous, but then I got it, and I think, this is really probably too juvenile for me to wear. It's called Mermaid's Beads, and it's made out of sea glass, and it was a dual colored bracelet, and they had the stud earrings and the same thing, and they were kind of opalescent. So they're really neat. It's by No Goo, and it's mermaid tears. But I said, these are still in the box. I've never even worn them. I said, why spend money on something? This is something she would really like, because I knew her enough to know this was something right up her alley. And I said, this is $90 worth of a gift, that's just going to sit where it could be doing good someplace, somebody could enjoy it. Mm-hmm. So just gave him the boxes and said, are you going to gift wrap them? He said, no, I'll just take them like this. So.
How did you guys come to hear about everything that happened on Monday?
So I tried reaching Stephan. He called me when he got to Kissimmee Sunday.
Any idea when he called you?
I know exactly because I wrote out the timeline this morning.
Okay.
6:48 p.m.
Okay.
But then I noticed on some pass that he was out around 8:30, 8:48, and there were two Sunpass tolls. And I said, well, maybe they had gone out or something. But I said, okay, that's a little weird. So that I tried to get a hold of him several times Monday morning, or maybe noonish or so, maybe as late as 2:30ish or something, and then I get a call from him at 3:17. Mm-hmm. And his voice sounded a little off to me. I thought, well, maybe he was just, tired, and then maybe he didn't get a good night's sleep or what have you. And then during that conversation, he says, oh, by the way, I had a flat tire. Radar goes up. I go, what do you mean you had a flat tire? Where could you have gotten a flat tire? Now, I'm not going to say you can't pick up a flat tire anywhere, mm-hmm. but he's just driving from here to the apartment and shouldn't be driving anywhere else, per se. Mm-hmm. Oh, I just got a flat tire. Okay, where? 192. And then he described the fact that the tire was so flat that he ran the rubber off the wheel. Mm-hmm. Okay, 192, plenty of places to pull over, and you're driving the rubber off the wheel? Mm-hmm. So then he described that he was changing the tire and that didn't have it set right, and the jack collapsed somewhat and trapped his thumb between the frame and the jack and did hurt himself severely. And I think the conversation lasted about 3 minutes. And I said, well, let's get the car into a tire place and see what's going to cost to repair it. And I'm sitting there counting. It's going to cost me several $100s for this now. Mm-hmm. And then that was it. And then 4:54. I'm just getting out of the car, meeting a customer. I'm going to take him into a house, and he calls. And he says, I'm en route to Maddie's grandmother, there's been an occurrence. I said, well, that's a strange word to use, but okay. And then I'm thinking, well, this is weird. 2 events in one afternoon, the flat tire and now this. And so he said, well, I took Maddie to school this morning and I dropped her off just down from the school because Maddie didn't want to be seen dropped off in front of the school because I'm not driving a cool enough car. I said, okay, well, understand that, teenager, peer pressure, what have you. And he said, I watched her walk towards the school out of the rearview mirror as I pulled away. And so then he goes on to describe that she wasn't, it's been reported that she wasn't at school. Like, we went to pick her up and she wasn't there. Then we come to find out she had been at school all day. And then he starts to describe that the area is a high abduction area. Kids are stolen for abducted, kidnapped for sex trafficking.
What? He told his parents, oh, no, this is a high child abduction area for trafficking. Oh my goodness. Now, there was a question over here to like, Pineapple, do the parents know that they're incriminating their son? I think they do. I mean, I understand that Chris Stearns worked at a sheriff's office for a while. I understand that he is comfortable talking with the police. I think they know that their son is guilty and they're just trying to be helpful, probably to put him away. And I think that they want him put away for his own good. That's what I think. That the couple things that Chris Stearns said was like, his voice sounded a little off to me. My radar went up. He said there's been an occurrence. Well, okay, so there's a flat tire, then there was another occurrence, and then Maddie goes missing. Like, his radar is going up. Yeah, I kind of feel like these guys know what they have done as far as creating this monster. I think they know what they've done. I think mom still wants to baby him a little bit, but I think Chris especially is like, no, this kid needs to be locked up for the rest of his life. So I think that's where we're going to pause it for today. We're going to finish this up. I maybe tomorrow, guys, be on the lookout for a live stream tomorrow. Maybe we'll do another, portion of this because we're an hour into this live stream and we're 32 minutes into the recording. So that shows that I am really getting in the way of just listening to this. But I do want to talk about these things too, right? One of the things that came up, Gavin, are the parents in denial about their son's involvement? I don't think they're in denial. I think they know. Well, I've already said this a couple times. I don't think they're in denial. I think they know that something has to happen, that for his own good and for the good of society, he needs to be in prison for the rest of his life. I will not be surprised if Stephan Sterns pleads guilty here. In order to maybe avoid the needle, he might just plead guilty. Before we go, I want to acknowledge once again the super sticker from Clark Christo 34. Thank you so much for that. I appreciate your support on that. And thank you again to PJ Tyler for your super chat. I deeply appreciate the support that you guys give me. It just means so much to me. This month is going to be a special month, guys. As you guys know, we've got some live events happening, and this month I'm headed off to London to attend CrimeCon UK 2024. I'll be in Content Creators Row. I'm really looking forward to that, seeing some friends again. I'm looking forward to taking our middle child, our daughter, with me to Europe. She has not made the European voyage like her older brother and sister have, so this will be her first time overseas. I'm really looking forward to that. If you are going to be in London and you're planning on attending CrimeCon UK or you're thinking about it, please come and visit me. If you have not bought your tickets already, all you have to do is use code FISH. That will save you about 10%. 10%. So please do that. And then please do, there are a couple things that I just want to pitch here real quick, plug rather. Hey, I've got a growing newsletter. My newsletter includes thoughts from me, some headlines that are in the news as far as the true crime news, and some links to some videos that I think you ought to see. Very simple newsletter. I do not sell the list. Right now, I don't advertise on the list. Someday I might, but I will never give my list away. And it's really easy to unsubscribe if you don't want to receive it anymore. So please join that list if that is your deal. Hey, if you come to London, I've got little tchotch that I'm giving away, little crime cod buttons that you guys could wear with pride. It'll be a little flair for you to wear around as you are at CrimeCon UK. So if you're going to be there, please check me out. Last couple things I do want to plug on the website. If you go to the support tab, there have been a couple of you that are just so freaking generous. But if you scroll down to the bottom here, you know my mods, Autumn and Jamie, they do this for free. They volunteer for this. They just help me out. And they also are the admins of the fish tank. They're awesome. If you feel so inclined, please do take care of Autumn and Jamie by buying them a coffee. Just click on that button right there. It's easy peasy lemon squeezy. What else did I want to plug? I think that might be it. Stop plugging, Gavin. Stop plugging. Oh, if you ever want to get in contact with me, click this contact button. That will open this form. You can remain anonymous. I want to say one more thing about contacting me. There is a person who has given me some very good tips, 100% anonymously, some earth-moving tips, and another case that I have been covering that have made a huge difference in the Ellen Greenberg case. I'll just come out and say it. In the Ellen Greenberg case, huge difference. Those tips might also be the reason why Josh Shapiro, the governor of the Commonwealth, is not on the ticket with Kamala Harris on the Democratic side. This person has given me great tips and is completely anonymous. If you are that person and you're watching this, I want to talk to you. I will keep you completely off record. I've never given up a source. I never will. But if you feel a little brave, please contact me through this form, which I know you know how to do. But give me a way to reach out to you because I'd love to talk. Okay? I guess that's the last thing. Guys, thanks so much for joining me. We will continue on in this recording in the next couple of videos. I want to cover it all because it's so freaking fascinating to me. I'm glad it's fascinating to you too. Thank you for coming, and I'll see you on the next one. Take care. Thank you very much for watching this video. If you liked what you saw, please consider subscribing. And if you have any questions or comments, please leave them below.